And I vote because I want to honor all that my mom has done to provide me and my siblings with a better life.
And I vote because I think my vote matters, and we all have a chance to make our own voices heard with our.
Those are just a couple of the reasons that San Diegans are casting their ballots. And tonight, a San Diego pastor who lived through the civil rights era is sharing his perspective on voting. He recalls a time when African Americans like him couldn't cast a ballot. ABC 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena brings us Amos Johnson Jr.'s story as part of our story, Why I Vote.
Back in 1960, a young Amos Johnson Jr. was studying theology in Berkeley, California. It was the first time he was old enough to vote.
I voted for John Kennedy. That was my first vote.
Although he could cast a ballot without issue here in California, African Americans in southern states faced plenty of challenges.
There were so many Jim Crow laws to keep blacks from voting in the South that, all the civil rights in the South were just, really diminished.
He says those years leading up to the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which bans racial discrimination in voting, were filled with protest and frustration.
It was a chaotic time. It was a time of great distress.
For Johnson Jr., the right to vote isn't something he's ever taken for granted. He says he's voted in every single election he could.
I think that's where the power is. I mean, voting is a real privilege, and it's also, in my mind, an obligation if you want change.
This year, we've already seen long lines in other states with people waiting hours to vote. Johnson Jr. says it's reminiscent of years ago.
I think this is just another form of disenfranchisement. It's another barrier that's been erected to try to discourage and dissuade people from exercising their right.
But he's also encouraged by the fact that those people are waiting, not letting an obstacle stand in the way of having their voice heard by voting.
To me, it's extremely important.
Lindsay Pena, ABC 10 News.
Johnson Jr. says that he has already voted by mail. He's been a mail-in voter for the past several elections. And ABC 10 News is your source on election night. We will have live wall-to-wall coverage on streaming devices, including Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and your smartphone. To watch, download the ABC 10 News app, or you can go to 10news.com for the very latest on all the races that matter to you.